Next, we're going to bring up DJ Radar once again. He's going to actually, for the first time, do a live, I don't know how to really explain it. He's actually going to show a score that he's written out and actually perform it live. So he's going to get set up for that right now. Go ahead, Radar. Radar, a lot of people don't really know what all the innovations you made up. I mean, you know, you've done the many shows with us, and you've always been innovating every time we've seen you again. And I know you're going to do a lot more things tonight at the after party. But tell us a little bit about yourself and your background on music, especially, because I know you.
You guys probably know me the least out of the group here of these great DJs. My name's Radar. I'm from Phoenix. Let me go back. Yeah, cool. You guys going to the after party, or what's up? No, going. Let me just start off. When I first started, I've been classically trained. I compose classical music, and I've been writing music for about 12 years for orchestras, and I've come up with like a classical-based system for the turntable. It's based on percussion, and because I believe that, not to take anything away from 8-Ball and on all these guys, but I believe the limits are percussion, but with pitches, you'll be able to do pitches with turntables, obviously, but from a notation, from a classical standpoint, it's nearly impossible because you cannot play chords on a turntable. You can play notes, you can't play chords. And so I limit it to percussion, and my score is based on percussion, and it's real rhythmic. And if we can go to the first slide, please. I'm going to start with the first. This is the basic transform scratch. As you can see, my system is based on just percussion notes, just like you would a snare drum. And you can see those are 16th notes. And basically, transform scratching is based on 8th notes and 16th notes, just like a snare drum, like when you're playing a snare drum, ba 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 ba. That's basically what it looks like. And so my system, like I'm saying, is based on percussion. Can we go to the next slide, please? And as you know, this is the 2-click flare, the famous flare scratch. As you can see, these are in drum rudiments, they're called flam taps. And it's actually like when you play 2 sticks and you go ba-dup, ba-dup, ba-dup. And that's what a 2-click flare is. It's a 2, ba-bup, ba-bup. It's the same type of thing. And that's what the flare looks like. Next slide, please. Actually, okay, this is the crabs. This is, you know, everyone knows what crabs are. This is what it looks like in music. As you can see, the first one, they're actually 32nd note triplets. And you can see the first couple notes there. That's what a triplet looks like. And those are 32nd notes. So when you hear a crab, you're hearing a 32nd note. And as you can see, there's one right there. You can see a flare. This is actually a combination. But those are basically what crabs look like. Next slide, please. And you can also do, if you double that up, like really fast, that's a 64th note crab, which I actually do in a couple of my songs. A lot of people do, but that's what it looks like. It's double time, so, and there's the accents, and I'll talk about those in a few minutes, and those are basically crabs. Next slide, please. And as you can see here, these are the combos. As you can see, you start off with the crabs, then we have the flares, and then a couple transforms, 32nd note transforms, crabs, and then it's a transform triplet, basically at the end there. And those are the different combinations. That's like one of D-Style's scratch sentences he was doing earlier, something similar, and Q and all them. And that's basically what it looks like. But what I'm saying, I'm trying to keep to this classical system. I mean, music is hundreds of years old, and I'm not creating anything new. This is actually a tool that, it's a tool that's 400 years old that people have been doing this. I mean, I learned on the piano, and I write string arrangements and stuff like that, and I'm not creating anything new here. I don't, you know, this is music, and this is how it's done. Next slide, please. These are what I call the basic basically in music you have articulations, like you have accents, crescendos, decrescendos, glissandos, trills, all these things that make up an instrument and the characteristics of a particular instrument. And I'm in the development stage of all these because, I mean, Q, he's creating so many new scratches all the time. It's hard to keep up. So I'm just going to talk about the 4 basic ones. There's actually probably hundreds, but I'm just going to cover it to the 4 basic ones. And basically, the plus here is basically a forward cue. So when you, when you turn the record player on, it's going at its normal speed, right? And when you're scratching, what you're doing, everyone probably knows, but when you push it, that's what I call the forward cue. And so that's the first articulation. It's a plus sign. You're actually pushing it faster than the speed of the turntable. The next one is the drag cue, which is I represent with a negative sign. That's actually, you're pushing it when you're scratching, you're pushing it slower than the speed of the turntable. And then, of course, the equal sign is the back cue when you're bringing it back. And the O, or the 0, is the no cue, and that's basically means your hand's off the record, and you are just using like the fader. More like how 8-Ball was doing, what he was doing with his test tones with. He's using a lot, he wasn't using the record, so you would notate with the 0 cues. Next slide, please. And this is what it looks like. As you can see, the first one is the no cue. You can see the circle. So that would basically mean a crab, but you're not touching the record, basically. The first one, you're pushing the record with the plus sign, the forward cue. So you'd be pushing it. The next note was the back cue, so you're immediately going back cue. So I have a way where I can have the hand articulations for each particular note, so you can document each exact movement of the turntable and scratching. And this is basically how you do it with a trumpet, with strings, with anything. This is the way you do it. And as you can see, there's a little triangle right there. That's an accent. It means you accent a little harder, so a little bit louder. You may push it or something. And the negative sign, we've already talked about that. Like the negative sign, you're going forward, and it's a drag cue. And those are the 4 basic ones. You'll see Qbert, he'll do, I guess the tears. Those are closer to glissandos when trumpet players are going, that's like a glissando. Qbert does stuff like that. And there's another sign for that. There's signs for everything, but I'm in the infancy of this because it's never been attempted before from a classical point of view. And this comes to my next point. Next slide, please. The song I recently did about 2 years ago is called Antimatter. Some of you may know it. It's off the Deep Concentration 3 record. It was an experimental track for me in a sense that I actually wrote it down first before I recorded it. It was just, I wanted to see if I could do it. I mean, because when I write things for orchestras and stuff, I always write it down first before I even hear it. And I wanted to do it for turntables. And this is basically the first page of my score that actually comes out with the record. I have the 12-inch right here. It looks like this. The booklet actually comes inside the whole score for this song. I actually wrote down the entire song from scratch, literally. Every note of the entire song is in a 14-page document that is included in the 12-inch. And it basically, if I start out here, you have the snare, you have the kick drum, the hi-hat, the snare, kick. I overdubbed, of course, the bass sound, all the other sounds in the song. Every sound in that song is shown here on the score, and this is the first page of it. And it's kind of tricky. You really have to read it and follow along with the song to understand it. But that's basically what I'm about, and that's what I've been doing. That's what I continue to do. And if you guys aren't doing anything, early next March, I'm actually, the reason why I wanted to do this so fast with my score and everything is that I'm actually conducting I wrote a piece with an entire symphony orchestra that I'm going to be performing. It's going to feature the turntable. The turntable is going to be the center of the orchestra, and I wrote a piece around that. But basically, I needed a system to talk to my colleagues and composers that I work with. I explain scratching to them. They don't understand it, but now they do, and I'm able to perform with great musicians, jazz ensembles, great string players, great flutists, great piano virtuosos, and people like that. Now, I'm able to play with people like this, and like I said, this is not for me at all. This is a tool, and I think it's a great tool for people to learn in the future. I hope people take interest to it, because when you learn any instrument, whether it's drums or a flute or whatever it is, you learn to sight read it first. And when you learn to sight read your instrument, that's when you can really master it, because up until this point, our scratch DJs learned from memory. We learned from hearing. And with a visual aid like this, we can come up with new combinations, new kinds of things. We can document this art, which has never been done before. And I think we are the future of music. I mean, the turntables of today is the Mozart of tomorrow in my book. So this is for you.
I want to thank again DJ Radar, an A track for the scratch notation and scratch score.
I actually have some I can give out. I have some extra scores here.
Okay, you said that that the best way to master an instrument is by learning to sight read, and I take issue with that because it's Eurocentric, and there are a lot of traditions that have very, very complex and intense and old, through which there was no notational system or no Western notational system.
I totally agree. I shouldn't be that blunt about it. I mean, I'm saying it allows you to create new combinations that you would normally wouldn't think of. Like Mozart would create patterns he never even thought of until he wrote it down. And that's all I'm saying is like things like that. I'm not saying, like, you don't need to learn to read music to be a great musician. I mean, there's plenty of jazz artists that never took a single thing, but it's like a quicker way to learn an instrument and master it. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, and I have a couple other questions, because I'm classically trained too, and when I look at the notation that you had up there, it is an old notational system, and to me there's a lot of information missing, and it actually sounds like something else in my head than actually what the scratching is. I mean, I see those triplets, I see that you're intending to notate, a crab or whatever, but to me, I mean, first of all, the pitch is static.
Yes, because it's percussion.
Well, you could also put different note heads on it. You could put a non-pitched note head on it.
Yes, of course. You can do that too. There's different ways of doing it. I wanted to keep it real simple. This is the infancy of it. Like I'm saying, it's like we're going to continue to document it and change as we go. This is not a set thing. I'm learning as I go, and that's about it.
Okay.
What's that? Oh, it's going to be in Phoenix at the Gamage Auditorium. I have some scores if you guys want some. I just have a few left. You can if you want to come pick them up, put them right by the stage. Thank you.
Damn. Should have had someone pass them out. I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay, I know you guys might be getting a little hungry here, so we're going to take a dinner break. It's 6:05 right now. Let's say we can come back around like 7:15 again. So thank you. Come early so we can start on time too. We got a few more surprises, and the night's not over yet.
Look, it's Danny. Danny the Wild Child.
We're gonna put on a little Eclipse commercial right about now if you guys want to check it out.
Yo, 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 yo.